On our podcast show this week, I helped Winston take his first steps as an electric vehicle owner in Canada. And we'll be talking about some unhelpful myths that keep people from saving money and enjoying the EV life. This and more coming right up. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for tuning into our show, available exclusively on YouTube every single week on Wednesday. We talk about all kinds of things, from the latest PC hardware to our favorite pop culture and science fiction shows. So you'll have to tune in for those as well, too. And today's show is, again, all about electric vehicles, particularly your first few days as a new EV owner. That's why our favorite co-host, Winston Chim, will be our EV noob. And he will grill me on every burning question that he has, just like one of you would out on the street with your favorite EV expert. So, Winston, how's that EV buying experience coming along?
Well, I'm still waiting. Volkswagen dealer said the earliest will be the end of the year, 2024, the latest kind of thing, early.
Wow.
So my wife will be getting the ID4. And for me, if I can, I'll see if I can find a used or secondhand EV, possibly Tesla Model 3. I'll probably go for that. The question is, why is it so hard to get an EV these days?
Well, it's the same thing as we talked about in our Taiwan show. There's the chip shortage, and many chips come from Taiwan. And as they ramp back up to their original 90% supplying the whole world, it's going to take them a little while to do that. Plus other things like batteries and supply chains are getting completely decimated. And you'll see in the news as well, too, even companies that are good in supply chain, good in assembly, like Ford, who invented the production line process, they are having issues with trying to get the production cost and value down to build EVs, which are different than internal combustion vehicles. But other things that are VW specific is that they're launching new models to hopefully try to get you away from the ID4 so that you will have more variety, like the ID7. In Europe, there's an ID5, unfortunately not here. And also some other vehicle variants from other brands as well, too. So that's all coming up in the pipeline. They're just hoping that you change your orders so that other people can get their orders fulfilled and then you can move on to something else. Used is not a bad way to go because in the province of British Columbia, there is no sales tax.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And you also get rebates, right? Is that
there's no rebates on used vehicles. There's just the break on the tax, which can be equivalent to the price of a rebate depending on how much the vehicle is. So if you buy a $30,000 used Chevy Bolt or a used older version of one of any number of EVs out there, like a Leaf or even like a late model Audi, which might not be the best way to go because it's a lot older. You could be looking at anywhere between 7% savings because you don't pay the PST, right?
I do notice that electric vehicles hold their value.
They very much so, yes.
Even used and secondhand, they keep their value because obviously there's a shortage of EVs. Plus, if you look at it, as I won't say an investment point of view, but you get a car. Most cars, you buy a gas car, for example, it depreciate over 5 years, right? With an electric vehicle, even if you depreciate only a few $1,000s, it's still the value still holds it there, right?
Yeah, today it holds very well, mainly because there is a lack of supply. A lot of dealers were buying up Model 3s and other EVs to sell in their lots because they didn't have internal combustion engine vehicles, nor did they have EV models that were available from their mother provider. You'll see, it's funny, like on GM dealership lots, they sell the Bolt and the Bolt EUV, but they also had tons of Model 3s. In fact, a lot of EV dealerships that are in, not EV dealerships specifically, but a lot of dealerships that traditionally were serving internal combustion vehicles in areas where there were no service centers for those specific EV brands like Tesla or Audi. GM dealerships are actually making money hand over fist serving those particular customers because they don't have a Tesla dealership nearby. So that's one of the strengths of a legacy auto is that they have dealerships everywhere. But on the downside, you have to deal with the legacy auto way of doing business, which is not quite the same or as nice as ordering your car online, getting all your upfront pricing, and then having it delivered to you right to your door, which is kind of nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's still going to be difficult to buy your EV. Yes. Are prices falling? Probably on Model 3 specifically because of that huge price cut recently. But again, he's just like Mr. Musk. He's just trying to make his end of quarter numbers, and that helped out a lot. But he's already raised the price back up on the Model Y. So things like that are happening. We don't really know what's going to happen until every EV dealer, every EV brand has a horse in the race that people actually want to buy.
Tell me the percentage of EV owners versus gas cars. What's the percentage now? It's gone up, right?
Yeah, in British Columbia, the percentage share of new vehicle ownership, I think we're up to 18%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost 20%. That's like 1 every 5 cars.
Yes.
Literally.
And in my neighborhood of Coquitlam, Tri-City area, 1 in 5 cars, if you count on a really good day, it really is there's an EV there. In fact, most of the time when I'm driving back and forth, there is a train of EVs, every brand that's available, from 2 Model 3s and a Leaf to 3 Model 3s. Like, there's a lot of Model 3s here. They outnumber Civics visually. But again, that's not a really great data point. It's just what my perception is of the current situation in Coquitlam. And, this is a place where EV adoption is actually very high because the cities and municipalities help out with that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the big question is, cost, right? So just to kind of recap, I've been driving an EV since 2019. I've had an EV since 2019. I'm going to take a sip of this because I'm about to cough.
So the question is, why do you want an EV, right?
Yes.
So for me, I've been driving a gas car for many, many years, of course.
Same.
I've seen my brother recently got the Iconic 5. We only had that last year in the summer, I think it was. Yeah, because I went back to visit the family. And Iconic 5, Hyundai.
Yeah, Ioniq, yeah.
Ioniq 5. It's a nice car. It's almost like a compact SUV, right?
Yes.
And it's the only thing that he says was different was obviously the acceleration was much more quicker, more responsive. Long distance driving is still, I think he's still struggling with that. The reason why is because I think the range is only like 280 to possibly 300 kilometers. The other thing is because UK, the infrastructure for charging isn't as good as in BC. So he has to plan his route to go from one destination to the other.
Yeah.
But cost-wise, he hasn't said it how much it'll cost really, because we only had it like for when I was there for like maybe about a month.
Yeah.
But you've been driving since 2019, so you know all about the cost. You yourself put everything into a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been able to annualize my costs. My home charging costs are basically 13 cents per kilowatt hour. So on a 64 kilowatt hour battery, which is what I have in my vehicle, it's about $8.32 for a full charge if I was at zero. Usually I do not charge from zero. Usually I top up, right? So that means that it's not an everyday thing. So it doesn't really bug me that much. That's about 400 kilometers in the summer, over that. And as low as 330 kilometers in the winter, down to negative 14 Celsius, which is colder than most places that you would call winter, right? Usually 0 or 7 degrees or 4 degrees, that's winter. And you're on your regular all season or summer tires still. In British Columbia, you would probably want to opt for winter tires because below 7 degrees, regular all season or summer tires do turn to pucks. They will slide. In which case you'll want to make sure that you're on winter tires so that they stay soft and they can still brake properly. And that will increase your consumption because usually winter tires are a little bit more they have higher rolling resistance slightly, right? So in the winter, I get 330 kilometers of range down to negative 14 Celsius.
Question. So winter, or for gas car, for example, you turn on the heat, you turn on the, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to use a bit more gas if it was, gasoline car. Is it very similar to electric vehicle as well? So in the winter, it uses more battery juice.
Well, based on statistical data that's been tested on vehicles, you lose anywhere between 16 to I think it was 25%, depending on how low the temperature is
Right.
where you are using your vehicle. So you do an internal combustion engine vehicle does lose range right away. Like it's the same as an EV, but the EV loses up to more range because it is a battery. So on some EVs, you can lose up to 40% range. These are on older vehicles, right? But a combustion vehicle still loses anywhere between 16% to 29% in its range. And because it has to idle the engine to heat everything up inside your cabin, using, I think the calculation is 0.2 liters per hour just to heat your vehicle, just to have it on.
Wow.
That's idle,
Okay.
right? So the argument in the winter that, oh, you're stuck in an EV, it's going to lose all its range and you're going to be stuck in the snow. Well, most EVs leave home full, and most EVs might have 75% of their range on the way home. So most gas vehicles, I know myself, I've done this before. I wait until it's empty before I fill up. So I might only have, right?
Yeah, that's what most people do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait until they're empty and then you fill it up. And
exactly.
And the cost they can figure out, because if I'm only like say 2/3 in or 1/3 into the tank and you top up, you don't know how much your monthly cost is. Oh, you get your receipt.
Yeah.
But you usually fill, you drive until they're almost empty. Then you fill up to the top.
Yeah.
Then you can work out, hey, on the spot, you fill it up. How much does it cost for a full tank?
Yeah.
Cost per liter, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. So in reality, a gas vehicle is more in danger of running out of fuel and freezing than than an EV because of the way that we fuel our vehicles, charge our vehicles, right? So a full vehicle heading out to Vancouver will use however many kilometers, but you'll have most of your tank back, right? Because you'll leave the house. Most people will leave the house with an empty tank. They'll come back. They'll have probably 200 kilometers of range, which is like 40 to 50 kilowatt hours still left over, right?
Right.
So in range is different because range is your traveling range. But if you're simply heating your vehicle, you might only use 0.075 of a kilowatt to heat your vehicle every hour. Right.
I think most people need to change their mindset. I mean, they still think in terms of cost per liter.
Yes.
So when it comes to cost per kilowatt, all they're interested is, hey, how much does it cost to have a full charge?
Yeah. So here's the direct comparison. Let's just say that I travel 400 kilometers in my EV. I filled the whole thing up. It would cost me about $8.32, roughly. Right. So that's 13 cents per kilowatt hour because I have a 64 kilowatt hour battery, plus or minus a couple dollars. Right. It does not compare to a gas equivalent. So there's a gas equivalent of my vehicle, which is completely gas. It's 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers is its average, like range. And for 400 kilometers at today's prices, $1.75 per liter. It's more now. It's $59.50 plus taxes just to fill it up to get 400 kilometers of range.
So literally there's a quarter of the cost or more than that.
Yeah. It's 1/6 the cost roughly.
1/6.
Right. And if you're, like we haven't talked about DC fast charging on the road. This might be something that we'll get into in a future episode because I think it's very important to have that conversation. But just alone charging at home versus having to line up at Costco and wait for 4 other vehicles to go through to get your 5-minute fill up is not the same as going home, plugging in for 10 seconds, waking up in the morning and having a full tank.
Well,
different mindset.
I've had experiences where it was a special weekend deal on the gas station.
Yes.
Where it was like $1.50. Come on, get,
Yeah.
So by the time you queued up, he said, and the guy at the gas station says, oh, we're totally run out.
Yeah.
You were like 2 minutes.
You're 2 minutes too late.
Too late. It's like, what?
And you know what? People are ignoring these things happening, but they happen. And in many people do fill up only when there's a deal, and they wait until their tank is 25% or even less. They might have only a few kilometers left, but they're waiting until the tank is empty. There is a benefit to doing that because you get the lowest possible cost, but an EV every night has a consistent cost. It's consistent.
It's, more consistent. Yeah. And I think, like I said, the mindset is like you charge your phone every day, right?
I do.
You do?
That's
what you normally do. You go to bed, you charge it up, and the next day you're fully charged. You do the same thing with the car, the EV, right? You park it up where your parking lot is. You plug in your whatever plug you plug in to charge your electric vehicle, and you just leave it there overnight. You're not gonna,
Exactly, right? And to give people understand magnitude. So here's the magnitude. So let's just say that I drove the internal combustion engine vehicle version of my car. It does exist. Right. There is a version of it, and it's a great direct comparison. So if I were to drive that car, 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers average, for 36,000 kilometers at $1.75 per liter, I would have spent $5,355 a year in gas, not including, because I drove 36,000 kilometers. Remember, 36,000 kilometers is 6 services in Canada. We are severe condition in Canada. So 6 services at a minimum price of $100. That's a oil change, inspection, everything like that. Right. Plus service 2, service 3, service 4, service 1, service 2. So you actually have increasing costs for those services based on the interval. Our most expensive cost is probably under $800, but that includes filter changes and a whole bunch of other internal combustion things. My vehicle costs no more than $119 to service every 12,000 kilometers.
Okay.
And that's just checking some boxes off and telling me that my battery is still 100% factory good. So when you look at those costs alone, and you look at my annualized cost of $1,100.87, including all my service, all my charging, my windshield wipers, my washer fluid. What?
It's like the maintenance cost, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have 80 grand. I can buy a Porsche.
Yeah.
Sure. You can buy that right away.
Yeah.
But then the running cost of a Porsche, it costs a lot more than Porsche, yeah.
So people look at the front end number and they don't realize what it takes to upkeep. You see this a lot when there's a lot of people that have never owned cars, and this happened. And this has been kind of a thing in Richmond. That you might notice this is that you'll see someone with a very expensive. It used to be a $100,000 vehicle,
right?
But it is in such a state of disrepair that it's not safe to be on the road. It was a $100,000 vehicle 4 years ago, but the tires are bald, things are broken, and they're not fixing these things. The tires themselves are probably $400 to $500 a corner, and you can see the curb rash, and also when they drive, their wheels wobble.
Yeah,
so
you've seen that in the news where there was a guy who drove an Aston Martin sports car. It was snowing at the time. You probably heard it in the news.
Yeah.
He didn't get out of the drive because
no money,
literally bald and stuff, and he couldn't even get
no money to spend for snow tires because you thought that the vehicle price is the price. No. When you take a spreadsheet out, when you add on that price, you have to look at what your annualized costs are.
Yeah.
Always.
And the maintenance fees, the running costs,
exactly,
the parts that you need to pay,
special costs, special services, recalls, bulletins, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So apart from that, tell us a little bit about the maintenance costs of an EV. I mean, apart from what is there to maintain? Batteries, motors,
nothing. Like barely anything. You're looking at your brakes every 4 years.
Oh, brakes, yeah.
Yeah, nice. I've driven my car for almost 2 years. The brakes they're supposed to be at 10 millimeter.
Yeah.
That's brand new from the factory.
Okay.
Guess what? They're still at 10 millimeter.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But there's friction, there's wear and tear, isn't there?
There's no friction because the engine is the motor. The motor is sending the energy back. It's all about regenerative braking.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about. So, where a traditional gas car, braking, friction, causes heat, it will wear and tear.
Yes.
Right? With an electric vehicle, you're saying that the energy from the braking goes back into the car?
Battery. It's captured back into the vehicle when you brake.
Wow. Okay. Now, not a lot of people know that, I think.
They don't understand it because they're used to pushing the pedal and squeaking happens because they haven't maintained their brakes. But everything that you put into the vehicle going down a hill, going down your driveway, goes back into the vehicle. And EVs are very good at showing this relationship because there's a meter that shows what you're putting out and what you're taking in constantly.
There's a meter reading showing that how much battery is being used to, say, push the car along.
That's right.
Where you put the foot on the pedal.
That's right.
And then an arrow, right?
Yeah.
Speedometer, whatever you call it.
See, one of the things about EVs, and you drive them differently. You want your average speed to be a certain way. So you don't want to speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down. It's more economical for someone that drives an EV to actually set it on cruise control and just set it to like 105, 5 over the speed limit. So you can actually keep up with traffic and flow instead of falling way behind. Yeah. And that works a lot better.
Yeah, my brother said about that when he was driving his Iconic 5. He said that for a maximum optimized range as well, gives you extra range as well, is that you drive at a speed where it will be optimized. So
that's right.
He found out it was 60 miles per hour. Well, the UK would be, and here would be what, 70-ish?
90-ish. Yeah. We'd have to do the conversion.
So he drives it at that speed, constant, and it actually preserves his battery because
absolutely it does.
Optimized at that speed.
Keep in mind, also, because we talked about regenerative braking, the vehicle coasts. And when it coasts, it's also recapturing the energy to keep you at that speed.
Oh.
So it's constantly pushing in and it's coasting. And when it's going too fast, it'll take it back.
So when it's coasting, in other words, you put your foot off the pedal.
Yep,
right?
It's completely off.
It's still running, and especially with, for example, if it's coming downhill,
it'll take it back.
So it will basically regenerate.
That's right.
Put it back in.
Yeah. So you drive these vehicles differently. Like I know that in the gas car, you're hooning it to catch up to the next bumper. You're hooning it again to catch it up to the next. And these vehicles just set it to the lower the closest follow distance and just let the car do the work. If you want even more range, set it to double the follow distance and it will maintain that distance more smoothly. Right? And then that way, or find a semi truck and follow it, or lorry, right? As you call it in the UK. So lorry, that helps out a lot with wind resistance because we know that from aerodynamics class, you can save up to 30%. Effort.
Oh, if you're drafting.
So
aerodynamics.
There is definitely benefits to taking in some hypermiling techniques to actually help you preserve not only your range, but also lower your electricity and your fueling costs. These are things that gas vehicle people don't think about because they can find gas on every corner, and that's still an issue, and we'll talk about that. But it's wasteful.
I tell you what will really improve the adoption of electric vehicles is for youngsters now going through their driving test.
Yeah,
is actually having the actual driving lesson and test in an electric vehicle.
Oh yeah, like they drive differently,
and then they will have a mindset ready to own and run an electric vehicle, and to have to take up the EVs.
It's an absolutely smoother driving style. It's more chill if you want to maximize the range. One thing that always comes up is that many police departments are getting EVs into their fleet because they will save the cities a ton of money. Everyone's mad that they're an EV, but they never look at the spreadsheet. There's a reason why they're getting EVs because it's costing taxpayers too much money to run a gas vehicle. So they're actually saving you money. And to argue against monetary savings is kind of silly. But there is an example of a police car chase in a Tesla versus a Mustang GT. So you're watching the pursuit, and the pursuit in the EV is so chill that the officer starts to sing because he can gap that Mustang back in a matter of seconds, but he takes no risks, and it's like the most boring police chase ever. But he's catching the guy.
Is it the Tesla Plaid? Is it
I don't think it is. I think it's like a Model Y or a Model 3 long range. But just watching that, I realized, I'm going really freaking fast. I'm over 200 kilometers an hour chasing this guy, but I'm humming a song because it's just so chill.
Mind you, some of the Asian countries already deploy electric vehicles in their fleet. I think Japan is one of them already.
Oh yeah, like I wouldn't doubt that at all. They probably have lease all over their police squad, right?
Yeah.
So
and electric bikes, but mostly the vehicles are all changing to electric.
So this testosterone and everything, this urge to rev the engine and make a lot of noise is not there in an EV. It actually encourages you to be a better driver because you're not constantly having to, like that guttural primordial growl. It's no longer there.
True.
So it makes a lot of people mad.
Health. Tell us some of the health benefits you get from driving an EV.
This is really strange. I didn't realize how much I could, even in a very well insulated vehicle, even in a passenger vehicle, when I get into a gas vehicle, I notice immediately the exhaust smell. I didn't notice this before.
That's because you've been driving EVs for so long. You didn't notice.
I never noticed this problem until I sat in a regular gas vehicle and I smelled it. And you know that it's supposed to be sealed and you're not supposed to get the smells. Well, someone that has not been sensitized to that immediately notices the internal combustion fuel fumes. Now we know that when you breathe in carbon monoxide fumes from a vehicle, it's not just the carbon monoxide gas. It's actually benzene, sulfur oxide, soot. Yeah. Like there's a whole bunch of things that can actually give you really bad lung development and everything. Like think about the kids that are in your vehicle that you've been driving a gas vehicle in, they will have long-term irreversible impairment in their oxygen intake. And some of them may develop asthma, all because your vehicle is not impervious to having noxious fumes go into the cabin. And then a light bulb clicked. It's like, oh my God, all my kids have been in gas vehicles for at least 5 to 7 years of their life. Now I changed over right away. So from 6 years old and on, my daughter's a little bit more affected because I had a gas vehicle for most of her life up till about 10. They're going to be able to recover from this type of poisoning because they're not going to have that consistent poisoning every day anymore.
Oh,
right. So their quality of life, like I know I'm probably very sure that my quality of life, not just the quality, but the length of my life has been shortened as a result of being in a internal combustion gas vehicle for long term, right? There's no doubt about it, right? I'm smelling those fumes. It does something to people, right?
Definitely,
so at least whatever decades I have left, they will be good ones. Because I actually feel great. Like, I mean, to be blunt, lung capacity is good. Like everything's good. I don't exercise a whole lot, so I should be wheezing all the time, but I'm not.
Well, that's good. I mean, there's definitely health benefits from driving an electric vehicle because fumes is definitely one of the dangers of a combustion engine, and carbon monoxide is like I said, there've been sad stories about people taking their lives.
That's how they take their lives, right?
Right.
You're just dying over a longer period of time by sitting in an internal combustion engine vehicle. And the saddest thing is that the longest commute to work in Canada is actually people traveling from Kilowatt, which is one of their suburbs where the pricing of houses is a lot more affordable. You get more land, more room to stretch out.
Right.
But that commute to Vancouver, that's like 108 kilometers a day, and people do it. And that's 2 hours in their vehicle, inhaling all the fumes and traffic, et cetera, including their vehicle that they're in right away. So I feel bad. Like, I mean, if you look at the health benefit as well too, it really starts to make sense that all this stuff is terrible for you. And also, if you're in a city where there's a lot of cars and everything like that, the people that are commuting on the streets and everything like that, and like there's been studies of kids that live near freeways and everything like that, when they get the fumes and the soot and everything from the highway, and they're living like right beside the highway, it impairs their life. There's a higher chance of asthma, other respiratory illnesses, and it will follow them for the rest of their life. So I don't like in like, I understand that people are upset that their cars don't make vroom vroom noises, but this is quality of life. You're helping reduce medical costs. You're helping reduce carbon monoxide. You're not poisoning your family anymore. You might think that's. Oh, but what about jobs? What about this? Well, you know what? When people are dead, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, unfortunately,
you got to like not just go with the trend, but also go with what's happening with the future. I mean, it's the way forward. I mean,
you said investment earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
EVs are investment in your future because you're not poisoning yourselves anymore. What's the term? Self-flagellation is what I see people with coal rolling and inhaling that stuff. You're killing yourself. You love killing yourself. That's weird. That's a fetish. You need to stop.
Stop it.
Stop it now.
Stop it now.
But anyhow, I digress. So, like, you're probably wondering, okay, with all this fuel and everything like that, you get home your EV. How do you freaking charge it, right? So you got the car from the dealership. You're excited. You got your ID4. You're plugging your car for the first time. Like, what are the things that you actually look for? What are the things you need to consider besides sitting there in the cockpit, going through every single option?
Yeah, it'll take a while I think it will take some time for people to learn all the different functions of an EV because, like I said, it's like literally a computer, right?
It is a computer
on wheels.
It is a computer. It's like a smartphone.
That's right. And then you're probably thinking, okay, how do I fill this up? So you look for the flap where your gas tank used to be, right?
Here's some of the first things that I would do before I even look at plugging it into a wall. For starters, you want to look at your chargers and charge limits. Usually, EV drivers will charge their vehicle between 20 to 80%. The reason why is that it's better for the battery health long term. But there are exceptions to this rule. For example, the reason why you don't charge to 100% is that you don't want to leave it at 100%. So the reason why I say look at your charge limits and timing and scheduling is because when you set your departure time to exactly when you get to 100%,
right,
you can drive it right away. You're actually taking the energy out of the battery immediately so that there's no harm to the battery. That's why it's a good idea to set it to 90% because then that way your buffer increases and you're not going to use all that range anyway.
Right.
So that's good. And then by scheduling your electricity use, when you charge, the system will automatically optimize to get you to 100% immediately at the time of your departure. So if you leave every morning at 8:05, get it to 100% or 90% by 8 a.m. The battery is fully conditioned, and then you're taking advantage of the utility rates that are lowest throughout the evening.
Right. So you charge it up to 80% during the night, and then just before you go to work, whatever, you jump in the car, get the timer to charge it to 100% or 90%.
That's right.
When that
and that's built into the vehicle.
That's built. Oh, it's built into the vehicle. You can program it.
That's right.
Right. That's one thing I wanted to ask. So, you don't. When you go into the gas, you pump in the gas.
Yeah.
You don't know when it's full.
You don't
know when it's full when the pump head clicks.
That's right.
It stops.
Right. This is done for you. Basically, the 10 seconds that you take, you're tired at the end of your day, you plug in, 10 seconds later, you're inside the house, you're enjoying your beer. The car is already figuring out how long it'll take me to charge overnight to get you to 80 or 90% in the morning so that you can leave with a warm cabin and optimum range. So that's what it's doing in your driveway if you have one, right? And because like we're talking about, it's just like plugging your phone at night. You just do it, right? You don't think about it, right? And the people that have to drive out of their way to get to the Costco lineup and you know what? This is a stupid argument because every time I've seen a Costco lineup, there is a lineup. There's a lineup for the gas barge, whatever they have, the gas station. And they're like, there's 8 lines of cars going in there. Oh, it takes me 5 minutes to fill up. Yeah, it takes you 5 minutes to fill up as soon as by the time you get there, 20 minutes in traffic to drive to the gas station. And then whatever time it takes you to wait for the 5 cars in front of you, sure, it's 5 minutes. But in reality, it's 10 seconds for an EV and it's done.
Yeah.
It's done, right? So you have to rethink the way that you're doing things. Numerically, what you're saying makes absolutely no sense.
I think it's more of a convenience for gas car owners, is that they know within their wherever they're living, that area has say 5 gas stations.
Yeah.
So I can conveniently go into any one of those, right? If I'm low on gas.
But you also have your house.
Vehicle, apart from your home where you charge, there are not a lot of other places where you can top up the charge, apart from big, shopping centers and things like that. However, if you're a city driver, then you don't really need to top up the gas or top up your electric because you charge.
Not really.
You're already 100% or 90% from home anyway.
We already talked about the longest commute in all of the Lower Mainland is like 108 kilometers. That's the longest. More often than not, the average is about 20 kilometers. Yeah. Every EV will go at least 300 kilometers or more. What are you talking about? What is the problem, right? Mm-hmm. So if you charge at home using the charger that comes with your vehicle, and this is the level 1, this is the charger that's like the phone charger. You plug it into your wall. You got 12 amps at 120 volts. You'll get 100 kilometers every 11 hours or so. That more than covers your commute. Every day that you charge it, you're going to get more back, but it's going to cover your commute. So you never actually charge to 100%. Yeah.
So tell me, as a new owner, the type of charging station thing.
Yeah.
What do I need to go for? Is it something that comes with the type level 1 that you said comes with the car?
Well, Winston,
that's bundled with the car.
How long is your commute?
Not that far.
Okay.
Maybe 10, 15.
10, 15 minutes. So you would say maybe 3 kilometers at most?
Yeah.
Okay. So we quantified that. So if you argue with me to say, oh, no, I can't charge. Well, 3 kilometers every day on a 300 kilometer range is 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
it's 100 days. 3 kilometers a day is 100. Is it not 100 days?
Yeah. My brother said that he says 100% charge or whatever, 90%, 100%. It could actually last him 3 days, 4 days. No problem.
It does. Yeah, for sure. Right.
And, he doesn't need to charge it up until then. Sometimes, like you said, if you own a phone, you might want to take it down to 10% just to, cycle them. They call them cycling, right? And then you whack it to full charge again.
The same rules apply for winter. Everyone says that in a gas vehicle, you should absolutely have your tank full all the time, not only for safety, but also because of the vapor that forms in your gas tank that makes it impossible for you to start the vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. So you might as well just charge the 100% during the winter because you're always good to go, right? In the summer, in the spring, it doesn't really matter a whole lot because it's good weather, la-di-da, right? But like in the winter, I charge to 100% anyway because you never know. If there's a snowstorm, you're stuck on the bridge. Same safety rules apply in those cases. You always want to be prepared. So the argument that, you're going to get stuck. Well, most people will not. The reason why most people need to be reminded is because we do gas. I myself as well too. I used to drive around with half a tank or less. That is my MO. It's a habit. My EV, full every night.
All right. Okay. So tell me the difference between level 1 and level 2. So level 1 charger is what you get with the car.
Yeah,
that's included.
It's called the granny charger. I know it's
straight
not
into the wall.
Yeah, it's I know it's not a great term, granny charger, because it's slow. I'm sorry, Granny, but it's maybe we'll call it the slow charger, right? So level 1 is AC. It's 120 volts up to 12 amps. Yeah. Depending on your house, you may want to check to make sure that the plug in your garage is capable of 12 amps. Most are. No problem, right? Yeah. So at the very most, you will be using 1.3 to 1.4 kilowatts per hour, and you'll get 100 kilometers range, roughly for 11 kilowatt, roughly in 11 hours, right?
Right, okay.
That's 1.3, 1.4 kilowatts per hour, right? So that covers most people's commutes more than enough, right? Mm. So, but if you're traveling a lot every day, you're using almost most of your range, 50% and above, you might want to consider a level 2 charger, right? Now, level 2 is also AC. And this is closer to what you have in UK, which is 240 volts.
240 volts. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's what we have.
It's the amperage that goes up. So you put this charger, you install it with a plug or hardwire it in your garage or wherever you have access to it. And now you have 32 to 40 amps at 240 volts.
That needs to be installed at the premises?
At the premises, or in some strata situations, you can actually ask the strata to install it because there is money available from the government to have, and this depends on the municipalities, right? We'll get into this a little bit more, but again, usually if you're taking it home, you're going to get a subsidy for your home from BC Hydro. They want you on electricity, so you get, usually it's you pay half the amount that it would cost you. Now keep in mind, if your box isn't close to your car, it's going to cost you per foot from electricity to get it over there.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, some people like, I don't want cables on my lawn or yard. So you have to have that somehow extension, the cable to charge.
I'm very lucky, and most people that have a garage with their breaker box in the front of the garage, because by having the breaker box in the front of the garage, you can just put the charger right beside it. It's like 2 foot of conduit, and then you run the 25-foot cable out to your car.
Okay.
So that's
tell us the speed of the level 2 then. So it was 11 hours for 100 kilometers on level 1, which is what you get with the car included. Level 2 needs to be installed on your wall or your premises, and that gives you what kind of speed?
It's up to 10 times faster. So what you're looking at is, let's just say that an average 7 kilowatt hour level 2 charge for a 60 kilowatt hour battery, that's 8.5 hours.
Yeah, tell me how to calculate that. So you have a 60 watt, is this 60 kilowatt? Yeah, 60 kilowatt battery.
So 60 kilowatt hour battery. So that's the measurement
that's the size
of capacity.
Of the battery.
Yep.
Capacity of the electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And if you have a 7 kilowatt, or just call it, make it even. 6 kilowatt per hour charge.
Yeah. So
you get that done in how many minutes or hours?
So 60 times 10, well, it's 10, right? So it's 10 hours. Your entire battery is full. The example I used here before was 100 kilometers. That's less than a quarter of your battery. So 100 kilometers in 11 hours, or the whole battery in 10 hours. So 400 kilometers.
400 kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are very rough, depending on your driving conditions.
Now I get it. So basically, whatever size capacity of your battery.
Yep.
You could even have in the future 100 kilowatt battery, right?
Yeah.
And then
now, this is where the confusion comes along, is that Tesla has taught their drivers to expect kilometers every hour, right?
All right.
Right. So they use that thing, right? Okay. For most for people that are in other brands, I go by how many
kilowatt
sorry
per
hour. My bad, people. I turned away. So you would be looking at it as kilowatts per hour based on the capacity of your battery. So if you know your entire battery, my average every day, I use I drive, and it's 10. Okay, I'm just gonna pull something out of my head. 10 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. That's my average every day. So that means that when I plug in my level 2 charger, I'm getting 70% of that back. So I'm getting 70 kilometers per hour back into the battery.
Okay. Yeah. I think a lot of people are a bit confused on the
I don't blame them.
Per hour kind of rating.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
They haven't got a clue what is that? Is that a full tank? Is it a half tank? Is it does the bigger the battery, does it run better?
Yeah, totally. That's why I always go by the kilowatt hour based on the size of your battery. So if, like, for example, if I have a 50-liter tank, right? I know how much it costs, but I don't know what the flow rate is. In this case, I know what the flow rate is, and I know the size of the tank. So I use that.
Right. Okay. So just as an example, your car, what's your current car? kilowatt per hour?
I have a Nero EV, and right now I have a level 2 charger, and the battery is 64 kilowatt.
Okay, 64 watt kilowatt per hour.
That's right.
Imagine you could have the same car, but with a 120 kilowatt
Mhm.
battery. That's bigger battery.
Yeah, bigger battery.
capacity. So therefore, how much it would take longer to charge?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, it would take
But
longer
then
to
you
charge.
get
Absolutely.
much larger range. Because
You
of the,
potentially, and remember, just because I have a huge battery doesn't mean I have best range, because if I'm not driving the car at a certain consumption matters. I can drive my car at 10 kilowatt per 100 kilometers, right? That's my consumption. That means that if I charge my battery to full, I could have up to 600 kilometers in range, because it's a 60 kilowatt hour battery. It's 64, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So if it had a 100 kilowatt hour battery and I was still using the same consumption, I would be able to drive for 1,000 kilometers. But what if it's not?
Because you
What if
have
it's 20?
different varying speeds, right?
That's right.
Therefore, you're using
That's
different
right.
consumption rates.
So the Hummer is one of those vehicles where it's extremely heavy. You're pushing that along. It's not going to get 10. It's going to get 20, maybe even 30. Your average is going to go way up.
It's the same as in the gas car. How many liters, miles per gallon they call it, right?
Or liters per
you could
100
have
kilometers.
A vehicle which is like 25 miles per gallon. That's a big car because it's heavier.
Yep.
We can have a small car, lightweight, and you can get like 50 miles per gallon.
Yeah, and that's why I used that example initially, where the vehicle that is the gas equivalent mine, it's 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. That gets me the cost to go 400 kilometers, because I multiply the number of liters by the gas cost.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to, again, change that mindset to think about the usage.
Yeah, and because consumption dictates how many kilometers you get per hour, it's not a great way to measure your flow.
It isn't, because imagine even on a smaller car, 50 miles per gallon, if I drive it like a nutter and put the foot down on the accelerator,
you'll be 25, 30.
You'll be 25, 30. But if you drive it to the optimum, for the car, you can get up to 50 miles per gallon kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Or in this case, if you drive 10 on a 10 per 100 kilometers, 10 kilowatt per 100 kilometers, I could get up to 640 kilometers on my vehicle if I can maintain that average, which I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Different speed limits on the road. You got to keep up the traffic, right?
Grades and hills and everything like that. You can't do it.
You can actually get a ticket for driving too slow. You know that.
You can get a ticket for driving too slowly, but you can also, the terrain matters, right? Like if I'm driving through the Canadian Rockies and it's super cold, it takes more electricity to drive that, because you have to run the heat pump and the heater. You have to go up the hills. Then you go back down the hills, but you still have increased heat use. So to say that you're going to get X amount of kilometers per hour is not accurate, and it could put some people in the spot of bother, because let's just say that you're 70 kilometers away from the next, from where you need to be, and you've charged for X amount of time. And in your mind, you say, well, if I charge for 2 hours, I'm going to get 140. I have more than enough. You might not have enough. So I hate doing that. I go by my average, which is on my screen all the time. I'm driving at 16. Great. If I charge at this charger and I'm getting back this many kilowatt hour, I know that number is what tells me what my range truly is. And I have the tools available to make those calculations, which is going to be some education. I wish the vehicles would be more calibrated to expressing that for the masses. I know that we're used to how gas vehicles work, but that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit more education.
Okay, another question. So on a gas car, you're driving along, you're almost empty, and the fuel light gauge comes on.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you know that you probably got maybe, I don't know how many kilometers left driving.
Might even be 10, depending on the vehicle, right?
Yeah, it's all on the vehicle, right? Do you have something similar for an EV where you're almost, I won't say almost zero, you're getting like 5% now? Does it come up and say, oh, this is how much range you got left.
It's always
So
there. It's always there in
there.
front of you. So you don't have to guess. It's like you're at this much, your consumption changes, now you have this much. So if your consumption changes, increases, you're going to get less. Every time it makes that calculation, it fixes that.
Yeah.
So it knows.
So it will tell you how much range you have left, even when it's on a low 5%, 4% left.
So range anxiety is something that people have because now they can actually see the number. If we hid all these numbers from you, would range anxiety exist? Possibly not.
Yeah, but then also if the red light on the gas car is on, and you think, I can push it for another maybe 2 kilometers or 3, and then suddenly your car dies completely.
You don't know, right? But on an EV, you always know. So you always know that if I maintain this speed and this consumption, I'm going to make it to my destination with 10 kilometers left. No problem, right? So you actually have more data in front of you if you choose to use it. For some people, it's too much information.
And adjust your driving style.
Exactly.
Optimize the range.
You got it. You got it. Right? So this makes a lot more sense. And of course, if you're charging it at home, if you have a level 1 charger consuming 1.4 kilowatt, some people are making an assertion that it's going to destroy the grid. It's nothing is going to run. It's going to destroy the grid.
Your kettle and your other is over 1 kilowatt.
Let me give you some examples. Let me give you some hilarious examples. Let's just say that you wake up in the morning, your daughter is drying her hair, you're using the microwave, and someone's cooking something on the stove. Someone forgot to put their wash in last night, and they're using the dryer. So a hairdryer uses 1.6 kilowatt per hour.
Yeah, it does.
A stove is 1.5 on a single burner to 3.5 kilowatt, up to 5,000 on some of the more powerful ones, right? A dryer, 5.
Dryer's 5.
A microwave is 1.2, depending on your wattage. And a factory level 1 charger that you plug into the wall when you get home at night is 120 volts, 12 amps. That's 1.4, up to 1.4. So the majority of people that charge overnight at the best rates plug this in. There's no freaking way that this is going to take down the grid. Yeah, some people are being silly because they don't have the numbers, or they choose to ignore the numbers.
They think it's going to be how many kilowatts is going to, Okay, so you got the numbers there. You've been driving for a few years, and you know the cost per kilowatt per hour.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
In my house, it's 13 cents. Even better. 13
cents.
Even better. Let's just say that you drive your vehicle. For business. Right? For business, if you drive your vehicle for business, I annualize all my costs. I took my kilometers and everything based on what it cost me to drive for a year, and it's 2 cents per kilometer. So if your business, if you use your business deductions at 61 cents per kilometer, you're making out like gangbusters. A gas vehicle is many times higher than that.
Oh yeah. Plus maintenance, plus all the other.
Exactly. Depreciation is higher. So you're actually taking money out of your own pocket, but not changing to an EV if you are suitable for EV. It's not going to fit everyone. Maybe you need a large pickup truck to drive 200 kilometers every day to a job site and back.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So I've seen makers now, automakers making EVs, trucks. You mentioned it in one of the shows before, the Dodge. I've seen I'm not sure if it's a prototype or one of those cars where they just for showcase.
Yeah.
But it looked good.
No, yeah.
It's what people will probably choose for, especially in US and Canada where trucks are really popular. Having an EV truck is something that you could look forward to.
Well, it's going to be interesting because a lot of people that are into electric vehicles, they'll probably look at that and be like, hey, you know what? I've always wanted a truck. I never wanted something that spewed fumes. I'm going to get that one.
Yeah.
That suits me.
And most trucks are either 3.5, 5-liter engine gas guzzlers, right? And that needs to be topped up like literally
every day. Days. Right? So you're at the pump every day for your 5-minute fill up after waiting 20 minutes to get into the queue. Thanks.
So Oh, and while you're in the queue, your engine's on, right?
Yep, you're using 0.2 liters per hour to heat that car and run HVAC. Yes.
Crazy.
So tell me more, right?
Yeah.
So, like there are a lot of benefits to having an EV, but again, the size of the vehicles are smaller right now. They're getting bigger. And of course, utility and capacity, right? This might not suit everybody, but it suits almost everybody, right? It's a high percentage, right?
Yeah.
So
tell me a little bit more about the charger types. So the level 1 charger at home, level 2, you can get on the wall. And we're talking about the public chargers now. Okay, so you're driving around. Just say you forgot to charge it overnight. You're down to say 30%, and you're thinking, okay, I need to go out to the grocery run, and I need to go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
So you're in a supermarket. You parked up by the electric vehicle area, charging area.
Yeah.
Those charging heads and plugs, they fit all electric vehicles, all right?
They fit all electric vehicles. For Teslas, they require an adapter because they are.
So you can use a Tesla charger.
You can't use a Tesla charger, but a Tesla can use that charger.
Right. So Tesla chargers are only for Tesla, but if you drive a Tesla car, you can go into the supermarket, use the standard charger with an adapter.
Yes.
They'll go in. Okay, so tell me the cost of those, because that'll be something that people will probably want to know.
Well, most of the time they're free.
Oh, okay.
Because they're level 2, they're low consumption, but you only have a time limit. You have a time limit that is enforced by the site. So if, for example,
shopping is usually about parking, say 1 hour, right?
Yeah,
you get
1 hour, 2 hours, depending on the mall, depending how busy, right?
Right.
So at Coquitlam Center Mall, and don't quote me on this because I can't remember, but after you park for 2 hours, they'll start to charge you $2 an hour or something like that to stay there.
More pricey because of you know.
Now these are level 2 chargers, so you're taking in every hour.
Level 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're taking in 7.7 kilowatt hour per hour on your whatever size of battery. So you're increasing the range on your battery as you sit there going to shop. I limit my shopping to 2 hours. That's great. Then, like if I have to pay a little bit extra, that's fine. But I rarely ever use them because I'm charging at home. But these are for, like, again, you live in an apartment complex, and, it's a great place to actually look at this from the perspective of someone that will not have access to a home. And this is very fair. Most dense urban and city living is going to be challenged when it comes to the number of chargers available, right? But at the same time, though, most people that will be commuting in these dense urban centers will not have as long of a commute as someone living in the suburbs way out there 57 kilometers away. So because these urban centers have, and this is nice because every municipality has enacted legislations and bylaws to make it so that new developments will have new EV charging spots level 2 capable. There might not be a charger or a receptacle there, but you can also there will be a plug, but you might have to just plug in your level 2 charger to it to charge your vehicle in those spots. You may be assigned, you might have to pay a little bit extra every month, but I can tell you right off the bat that even if you had to pay $10 a month to have that spot, or $80 a month, and that's the preference, because you always want to always want to park in the same spot every single time you get to your complex. Yeah. And I think that, like, what do you guys charge for your, what is your Strata charge every month for your parking spot?
I have no idea, but they probably include, because we're renting right now.
Yeah.
That's probably including the rent.
Okay.
But the new place that we're going to be living in, they will have a parking lot spot for you. And then probably what we call a building management fee, they call it, right?
Yes.
That covers
the Strata fees. Yeah.
Yeah, Strata fee. Some of them, for example, they can charge how many cents per square feet, they call it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know. It's weird.
So probably around about a few $100s a month.
So if you're going to pay that anyway, and you've got a charging spot, you can very well see that you're going to make back that investment, because you're not paying for the electricity, you're paying for the spot. There's probably no surcharge on it because they can't figure out what to charge for it right now. But I can tell you right off the bat, I've never spent more than $85 for $82 a month on my electricity. And this is driving well over 3,000 kilometers,
Yeah.
right? That's a lot of commuting for most people in an urban setting. It's worth it.
Oh, yeah. I think for people who drive a lot, it's definitely to go for an EV because in long term, cost-wise, maintenance and running costs, I think it would be definitely save a lot.
Yeah, like in 36,000 kilometers, the difference in price between the gas version and my vehicle was erased immediately. So now we're level. So next year, guess what? I have an additional $5,355 in my pocket.
Okay.
Right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I'm driving a lot. So for someone that drives a little bit less, let's just say that you're doing only 18,000 kilometers a year. You're going to see your realization in savings by the third or the fourth year.
All right.
Maybe,
so,
right?
Apartments, you have those charging spots available for both people who have houses and homes with their own parking space. Are they eligible for having these discounts and subsidies, have this charge installed?
Well, if you have your own home and you have your own townhouse, that's your unit, and you have a garage, BC Hydro actually kicks in some subsidy for you. So you can actually save up to half of your charging costs, half your installation costs, depending on how your system is installed.
Right.
And it's on a per case basis, but there are rebates available. You like mine, my total cost was $1,200 to install it.
Yeah.
But I paid half of that.
Okay. And that actually helps with the price of your property because you have now
corner lot in Coquitlam with EV charging level 2 already installed. How much are people going to pay for that? A lot.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and another thing about those charging units. So if for example, you drive one electric vehicle, one plug, one cable. What happens if you have two? Can it?
Good question.
Do you need to install another one, or is it just attach another cable?
Well, the assumption is that both of your vehicles will be driving X. One of them will hopefully be used less than the other. But what if both of them are being used the exact same kilometers and you will be half full every day? There are what's called load balancers available. And what you can do is you can buy one of these load balanced EV chargers. They're more expensive, but they're still going to draw 7.6 kilowatt from the wall. It'll divide it between two vehicles and charge you up that way. Now, keep in mind, it's going to lower your rate of charging, but it's still going to be better than just plugging in a level 1 charger in the wall because it's 1.4.
Or you can alternate charge.
You can alternate.
You don't have to charge all night one day. You can just switch cars to charge overnight, and you just need one charger, one wall unit, right?
Or you can charge at your employer because a lot of employers are offering EV charging as an incentive for people to get green, as well as riding your bike to work. Obviously, riding your bike is much more green, but having an employer that sees the benefit of EV and allows you to charge at their residence or at their place of work, that's also awesome as well too. There are also a lot of free EV charging around the city. And if you want to charge even faster than that, and this is something that you would use mainly for traveling, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But DC fast chargers, which are actually like it's in the name, DC. It's gone from AC, which is level 1 and level 2, to DC. That's why it's called DC fast charging rather than the more people know it as level 3, but it's actually technically not. But it's DC fast charging.
Okay. So these are faster charger.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those allow you to charge up most vehicles to 80% in about 30 to 45 minutes from 20 or 10%.
In how many minutes?
In 30 to 45 minutes.
So under an hour?
Under an
hour, you can have a full charge.
From anywhere between 10, 20 to up to 80%. Okay.
So tell me, is this available for compatible for all electric vehicles or only certain vehicles?
Well, superchargers are what are for Tesla vehicles. DC fast chargers are what work for everyone else's vehicle, provided they have a DC fast charging port. So that's fine.
Right.
All good.
So if your electric vehicle has a DC fast charger port, it can accept this DC fast charger.
That's right. That's right. And the rates will be different because you are on a more premium service. They are more expensive. You're basically looking at if your house rates were X, 13 cents per kilowatt hour, then DC fast charging would be at least double to triple or more.
Right. For
Or
the
more.
benefit of faster charger, and it's, you could do it in like under an hour.
That's right.
for
So
charge.
some people that have extremely long commutes, or they're an Uber taxi driver, everyone needs to go for lunch, right? So 30 to 45 minutes, you're sitting at an EV fast charger. You've just gone to McDonald's. You've gotten your order. You're eating it in your car. By the time you're done and everything, you cleaned up, you got your napkin on, you're throwing that away. You're ready to go again. Full charge, 100%.
So these are really good for long distance driving.
Absolutely.
People
And that's
who are in business, like delivery vans and Ubers and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. So
makes
potentially this also leads into, long distance driving and road trips, which we'll get into in another episode, because we want to cover kind of your urban, your commute and everything like that. So for most people, these will be very infrequent visits, because you either charge to 100% at night, you either charge to almost 100% when you're at a level 2 public charger, and you'll be paying much, much, much cheaper rates at the level 2 chargers, because they're not as fast. They're not a premium service for your EV, but they use the same exact port. And in the Tesla world, if you're listening to this, in the Tesla world, you have supercharger stations. They have a lot of them all across in hubs, which have 8 to 12 chargers. And this is another conversation we're going to have in an upcoming episode, because there is some controversy around this, which we'll get into in more detail in that episode when you're road tripping. And I have a lot to share on that. So, but for destination chargers are what Tesla people call level 2. And destination chargers are either A, you see them at the hotel along with a level 2 charger, or B, you've installed the destination charger, the same charging mechanism inside your garage. So that's the level 2.
Level 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get you. So level 2, level 1, mostly for home charging or office or
and then
supermarket.
DC fast charging, because again, level 1 and level 2 are AC levels. It should be technically called DC fast charging, and then DC fast charging level. There should be a delineation, right? But for most
AC, DC, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not the same.
And I said the question earlier I asked was, the DC fast charger is compatible with most vehicles, and you say yes, with the correct adapter. So in other words, you don't have to worry about the battery type.
No,
it's the same battery type, right?
It's the port,
just the charging mechanism.
Yeah, it's the port, and then in more nuanced terms, it's the port. It's also in for your end of the transaction, it's whether or not you can take advantage of the full speed of what's being put out there.
Right.
Right now, as it stands in Canada, and also globally, it's not just a Canadian thing. Is that vehicles charge at different rates? The fastest vehicles charge very fast, up to 350 kilowatts. Slowest vehicles, the older vehicles, charge at 25 to 50. And this is something that I will touch on in an upcoming episode, because it's going to make more sense once I give it context.
Basically, flow rate.
Flow rate.
Right?
You got it.
Yeah, the flow rate.
So if you can charge your vehicle at home and you use very little electricity, your rates can be as low as 9 cents, because 9.095 cents, because that's the basic rate up to 2,000 kilowatts for BC Hydro. Above that, it goes up to 14 cents. That's why my cost average is 13 cents, because I've already gone over that.
Okay. So, so all of this, how do I pay? And where do I find them? I mean, what's happening? Is that included in the electric bill that I pay every month?
Yes.
Or is it? Oh,
yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 things. If you're charging at home, your electric costs are included in your full bill.
Monthly bill.
Right.
Okay.
BC Hydro has done something kind of cool. They have what's called the Hydro Home program. So this allows you to put a meter on your EV charger. This measures it separately, but doesn't bill you separately yet.
Oh, right. I get it.
Okay. The reason why is because I believe they're trying to collect data on how to bill your house and how to bill your car. Because again, I told you that I'm exceeding my level 1 rate for my home.
Right.
Because I'm getting into level 2 a lot faster than my neighbor who does not have an EV.
Yeah, I understand. So because you own an electric vehicle, you're charging it every day.
Yep.
The rate that you're on for household is going to be at a low rate and you're using the maximum level, right?
I'm maxing out faster.
Right. I get you. I get you.
So
all right,
if they can figure out a way to change that structure where if you have an EV, you're going to pay this. And if you have your house rate, we're going to maintain it and we're going to remove that,
and that's
that
for
2000.
household appliances only.
Yeah.
Then you have another
fine.
rate for electric vehicles.
Yeah. Okay. Then there would be a fuel cost. Now there is talk about a fuel, a road tax of some sorts, or a vehicle tax on vehicles that don't pay into the excise tax or the carbon tax at the pump. Yeah. These are things that, you know what, in the big scheme of things, I'm saving so much. I don't mind paying the extra $100 or $150 a year, which is what it works out to if I were to buy gas anyway. So, this is one way to make it more fair.
Yeah. So make it more fair. And if I don't know whether provincial or federal, they can use that money to invest in the infrastructure.
They can.
If they could.
Yep, they can.
That'd be good.
But unfortunately, in British Columbia and in most places, the road tax. There's no road tax. Like, it's basically infrastructure and everything is in the general tax bin. There's no separation, right? You're going to lose money from collecting that money from the fuel, but you're actually providing it back to the fuel company, the gas and oil companies, in terms of subsidies, right? So it's not like you're giving it to the people. You're giving it back to the gas and oil companies. You're funding that. So it's a little funny there, right?
Yeah. Okay. So charging stations, there are a few companies that does these charging stations.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that you'll be very aware of as someone that commutes around is that if you do need an emergency charge, you'll run into BC Hydro, you'll run into Flow, and you'll run into ChargePoint. And these providers provide level 2 public charging in addition to DC fast charging. But for most intents and purposes, if you are going to work, you're going to be there for 4 to 8 hours. You want to seek out one of these level 2 chargers, and they're provided by them. In order to access them, you're going to need their apps. So one of the nice things is that and I should tell people this, is that BC Hydro app will work with Flow and ChargePoint because they're connected. If you have a Flow app, you can, and some of the dealers have been giving people Flow credits. So if you have a Flow app installed and you have that credit applied to your account, you can use it on BC Hydro and ChargePoint and Flow.
All right. So you can have a separate account which you can monitor the usage of the charging units.
So how many kilowatt hours you take, and how many minutes and how much time, how much money it's going to cost you to do that. It's logged, it's online. You can go in and see what's going on, right?
And with these apps, can you pay separately for just particular for that charge, or is that go back to BC Hydro?
Well, one of the things about most of these stations is that unfortunately, you need to have an app, because somewhere along the line, someone thought that not having a card reader was a good idea. So you can't just use your credit card. You have to go through the app. You have to start the session in your app. There are advantages sometimes when the app, like for example, and we'll talk about this more, is that if you have a membership, you can actually get cheaper charging by having the app, because it'll recognize your vehicle, your account, and give you the discount, right? So if you were able to tap with a credit card, you would pay full rate. You don't want to do that. You want to use the app so you're recognized and your discount is recognized. Just like a loyalty program, right?
Yeah.
So this is all kind of working itself out right now, because it's not like a gas station where you can just go into any gas station and pay with a credit card rate. Right now it's a little bit kind of messed up. But I think that in the future, what's going to happen is that you're just going to you'll have like a membership card, sure, but you're going to be able to pay with your regular card.
Yeah, it's like the old days of the cellular service, right? With the mobile phones. And when it first came out, everybody's like all over the place, offering all different deals. And this one's not compatible with GSM, and the GSM's not compatible with
TDMA,
and all that kind of stuff, right? It'll take time.
It's going to take time to work that out. And I think that's one of the hurdles right now, is that in addition to number of chargers available, you've got payment methods is also a hurdle right now. It's working itself out. Everything's kind of working itself out, which is great.
But in the long run, I think it will be better, both environmentally and also in terms of cost. You know? And of course your health as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also, people need to know where to find them. The EV public chargers are very easy to find at most malls and most recreation centers. Even libraries have them. And if you look really, really closely, my favorite app, PlugShare. This app will tell you exactly how many any chargers, DC fast, level 2, are in your area, and it can actually filter that for you. So if you're just looking for free DC fast charge, free level 2 chargers, it'll filter that for you so you can go to those locations. My favorite app.
PlugShare.
Yeah, PlugShare.
Okay, cool.
So what do you think of that? Is there anything else that I haven't covered here for you that we couldn't put in another show that can talk about those road trips that you want to take? Because that's an entirely different world. I want to kind of save that for our audience. So once they've gotten all the commuting down, once they're comfortable traveling, whatever commutes that they have, charging at home, setting the schedule for their charging, getting the best possible rate from their providers, and just living the EV life, the next step is obviously going to be road tripping, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And we'll talk a lot more about that because I think there's an appetite. You have an appetite to know more about that, right?
Oh, yeah. Because I want to travel. I want to say go to Whistler, which is how many kilometers? Like 200, 300?
No, it's not that far.
Not that far?
Not that far. I can't remember what the exact kilometers is, but it takes about an hour and a half.
I want to travel, right? So,
yeah.
If I'm in an electric vehicle, I need to know which stops I need to go with if I need to do the fast charging and stuff like that. So, it's but it'd be fun because
it's fun. It's a bit of an adventure. Trip. Yeah, absolutely.
Planning, right?
And I've done many trips, minimum 2,000 kilometers round trip, going straight to Alberta and remote areas in British Columbia. Over the Rockies is where I would normally drop in. So I'm always going up really steep mountains. It's cold out there. It's wintry. And I want to share that with you in an upcoming show. So get your questions ready, Winston, because we'll cover that coming up, probably closer to spring when people are starting to wake up, get their snow tires off, and start to want to travel again and get out there and explore Canada or even the US. In fact, in April, I will be going to Oregon in my EV. So I'll have hopefully some additional information for you about traveling on both sides of the border that you'll find extremely valuable. So how's that sound? Anything else I can cover for you, Winston, until then?
That's it for now.
All right.
Owning a electric vehicle is going to be a new thing. It's going to be a learning thing as well. And once I get used to it, once I know how to, get the grips of driving an EV, I think it'll be interesting. And compare it with normal gas cars, it's going to be a different, of course. But different. How different? Well, I'll let you know once I have one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your wait list doesn't take that long. I know that there's some issues with the supply chain, but hopefully that works itself out. Or you buy yourself a really nice used one that you want, and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
Sound good?
That sounds good.
All right. And now our show must end. And I know that both you, our audience, and Winston still have a tons of questions to ask, like I've addressed. I'm happy to answer a bunch of them in the comments. If you want to leave them, of course, I'll be working on another show that addresses most of the road tripping stuff. But please ask the questions below so I know what to cover for you in this upcoming episode that will include aspects of EV ownership, including winter driving, and also a lot more on the road tripping aspects and my favorite apps when I do that as well too. And if you want to yell at us, though I prefer you engage, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen Fung or Instagram at Stephen Fung. And how about you, Winston?
You can find me on Instagram at Winston Jim and also at Twitter at Winston Jim. Mostly lifestyle stuff. But if you have any EV questions, send them over to Stephen.
And with that, we have to wrap the show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so that Winston and I can let you know when a new episode drops every week on Wednesday. Until then, bye for now.
Bye-bye.